Hello everybody, my name is Michael, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is this right here. So if that looks interesting to you, please carry on and watch the video. And also, just one more thing before we go. Please, if you enjoy the video, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. But with all that out of the way, let's carry on with the video. Okay, so this is the bed I've made earlier. As you can see here, I just quickly whipped one of these up and I thought, hey, actually I might make a video on one of these. I just wanted some to have for my, my Dungeons and Dragons game. And as you can see, they work out as a pretty good size comparison for an actual bed in this scale. So I thought, hey, why not show everyone how I made them up? So let's get into it. Okay, so now you've seen the rough size and the shape that we're after here. What we're going to do is start with our first material, and that is of course going to be the main material of this, and that's going to be these nice big tongue depressors. They're actually a really good size here. You can pick them up from any of your local sort of dollar stores, craft stores, anything like that. And as you can see, it works out perfectly fine for a single bed, and that's exactly what I'm just trying to do here, because I wanted some to fill out inn or tavern, something like that. Just, you use these little things all over the place, and I thought it'd be great to do here. So as you can see, I've sized some up onto this tongue depressor here, and I'll be cutting it with a little mini razor saw, scissors even. But one thing with the scissors, I do want to let you know, if you do, you can risk the potential hazard of the wood splitting, so just be aware of that. So that's why I'm going to be using sort of a cross between the razor saw and a hobby knife here to cut them down to the size. And as you can see, I didn't actually measure much here. I just sort of grabbed a mini that was about the average size of a human or oid of any sort of size and shape, the main sort of size of your minis, and just measured up to what looked right, because I felt if you went with measurements it could be very wild in the shape depending on your scale of miniatures. So that's why I went with just picking out one and then going with the random size and trying to get it as close as I could just by matching off eyes rather than actually measuring it. So it's all in the feel of it here. And as you see, I'm cutting away, this time being very, very careful not to hold my finger on my blade like last time when we built those market stalls and I cut my finger. So being very aware of that this time. And you can see you don't actually need much of it. You can actually make two beds per one tongue depressor, so you actually get quite a good use out of it. So you can make a lot of these if you wanted to as well. But as we can see, we just want to cut those into three little pieces. So we've got the headboard here, which we can use with the top curvature of the tongue depressor, the bottom sort of main frame of the bed, and then of course the foot end of the bed as well. So nice and easy. And then once I've gone through that with our big hobby saw, a little razor saw I should say, rather than a big hobby saw, I'll come in with our craft knife here and just cut it through nice and easy to get that nice clean cut. Then once we've cut all those edges, just what you want to do is grab a little bit of sandpaper here and just sand those edges down a little bit flat in case you've left any sort of rough markings in cutting. So just nice and easy there, just giving them a nice quick scrub and making them all nice and even as well, in case you accidentally cut just a little at a slight angle, which I know I definitely did while doing this. So just keep that in mind, you can quickly straighten it up at this step. So once you're happy with those sections, got them roughly even and shaped, now it's time to move on to our hot glue gunning. Now, as I've said before in my last project of glue gunning, I am not very good at glue gunning here, so don't be afraid if you're also bad at glue gunning just like me. And placing it on here, so as you can see, huge amount of glue placed on there and then just stuck them together as much as I could. I just need it to stick. I'm still working on my glue gunning technique, so as you can see, if I can do it, you can do it as well. But also one little thing too is I quickly sort of grabbed my mini beside here to measure up the sort of height I roughly wanted to. Like I said, I'm keeping this very loose with the measurements and stuff here, because depending on your scale and what sort of look you want, it's totally up to you what you want to do here. And I just went for the rough guess of my eye, and because we're using hot glue here and I'm not good at it, like you can see, it doesn't glue on properly, so I need a lot more hot glue, because that's always a technique rather than trying to use it properly. But also as well too, while you're doing this, it's only hot glue, so if you're accidentally wrong in your sides, you've got one side up too high than the other, you can always just quickly break it off while that glue is still drying and readjust, and then just come in with a craft knife later on to clean up any of your mistakes and slowly work that hot glue off so you've got a nice smooth working area to work with in the next steps. Then once you have that complete and you've got the main bed structure complete, all I'm going to do is grab some PVA glue here and just some matchsticks, just ordinary plain old matchsticks, and I'm just going to be dunking them in the glue just on the very end there, just picking one of the sides, and I'm going to be attaching it to the side of the headboard and the footrest there to just be giving it just an extra added in little effect to make it look more like a bed. Now I'm not going to be doing this to every single one of them, I'm just going to be picking out 2 of them to do it to, so totally up to you what you want to do here. You could also I'm going to be cutting them down a little bit later as well to make them line up, but you could also leave the 4 matchsticks on and have it as a 4-posted bed if you attach something to the top. Not something I realized until actually editing the video like I am now, that I could have made a small 4-posted bed, or even a double bed if I had just added on another one of those bed sections to the top. It could have made a nice bunk bed. But totally up to you. Like you can see, a lot of versatility here. But one thing I do recommend, maybe not using PVA glue to attach this on here. It was a very, very slow process waiting for that glue to dry. I'd suggest maybe a tacky glue or a wood glue, even Mod Podge, something like that. Something that dries a little bit faster. It took a long time for this bit here to dry and be stable enough to cut down and work with later on. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing is working on the mattress of the piece. So for this, all I'm using is ordinary cheap foam board here, just the nice stuff you pick up from a dollar store. It's the right thickness for it as well, and all you have to do is measure it up with the base piece of the board that we use to cut up, just cutting it with your hobby knife of choice that you're using here. Of course, making through slow, nice, small passes to get that nice straight line, because if you go in super heavy and try to cut it all in one, I know I definitely did at the start, it ends up by tearing and bunching up together and ripping the actual foam board here. So definitely try and make it a nice slower passes if you can. It leaves a much cleaner design, cut I should say, not design, cut on there as well. And also too, you want to cut it just a little bit smaller than that baseboard so it looks like a realistic mattress placed upon that bed. So just grabbing your piece, and because we've got the frames made up, you can see how easily it can fit in there too. As well as that, I also took off each side of the foam board because it has this paper on it to keep it nice and rigid, so don't forget to peel that off as well while you're doing that. And it's just, of course, like I said, a matter of just lining it up and getting it to the right shape and consistency, and then doing it to all the beds we've got here lined up, or as many as you're making. Then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing now is grabbing some of our baby wipes here. Nice soft baby wipes. Now what I've done is I've pulled them out of the packet and let them dry out completely, so we don't have any of that alcohol scent that they have on there. And I've just pre-cut some up here to the size I roughly want, and as you can see here, the size I want is to be just a little bit bigger than those mattresses we've made essentially. And then all I've done is I've grabbed a bunch of PVA glue with some water here, as you can see, quite thin down and quite watery, because I really want that to soak into the actual baby wipe itself, and then placing on top and folding over to create that mattress. And as you can see, it works out nicely. It does take a little while to dry, so bear that in mind when you're doing it as well, but since we're using glue, you can also shape it around there, and then placing it on top of our bed frame itself. It'll slowly dry and dry to the bed frame as well, so you don't even have to glue it to the bed frame. Just the step that I did as well, and place it on there so it glued to itself while also drying itself on the mattress as well. Just making it, you know, a nice, easier, quick step rather than wrapping it around, waiting for that to dry, then applying it. I may as well cut out a step there and go right ahead. And that's how we get our mattresses. Okay, then once we have that complete, what we're going to be doing is the bed blankets itself too. As well as that, I also accidentally lost the footage as well for doing the pillows as well, which is the exact same method as doing the mattress itself. It's just a tiny little square of foam that I did the exact same technique before, and just folded it over and placed it on top to dry like a pillow, of course. And then as you can see here with the bed, I've just made it sort of roughly about the same length as the mattress, and then I've used it to fold it over to give it that classic bed look, and just placing it down, draping it over, folding it just a little bit under. It's going to dry out nicely, and as you can see, nice easy bed. And because we're using those baby wipes, it comes out as pretty much a fabric material as well, so it even looks completely authentic, and it's not big and chunky like I see a lot of those crafting people do to make their own beds as well, which can be very unnatural in the appearance with the fabrics that they're using, since they don't seem to use this type of fabric. And that's where I came up with the idea of using the baby wipes, and thought it looked pretty realistic, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. Then once we have that complete, what I'm going to do now is just trim off those edges off our 4-posted beds we've got to give them a slightly different design. Like I said before, I just wanted to have it like you have the classic bed. These are just some ordinary snips. Snips here. You could use scissors, whatever you've got to just cut these down. Just going for a nice even look. Again, not measuring anything, which I probably should in case it looks a little weird. But just eyeing it up and trying to make it look natural, and as you can see, it just adds a little bit more to the frame of the bed. But like I said before, when I was going through and editing this video like I am right now, I actually realized that I could have made double beds. I could have made a nice big 4-posted bed with a fancy thing on top, so a lot of versatility here in this. But as I'm going through, just coming through, trimming them down and giving it a different bed look, so we've got different varieties in the beds we're making. And then once we have that complete, now it's just time to move on to painting. So I'm going to be painting the frame of the bed first. I'm just using 2 browns to this. Use any type of browns you want, or any color you really want, really. I'm just going with sort of a generic sort of natural look, and I've picked out 2 browns here, a sort of lightish brown and a very dark brown, just to separate our beds from each other, and adding that little bit more variety here. So I've used a oak brown and a mahogany brown, which are 2 sort of generic colors that we have for beds, and even what beds are made out of, so it gives it that authentic look. I'm not worried about carving any sort of like, what do you call it, wood texture and that into them like you can do, and add the grains and that, because we're dealing with natural wood anyway. So what I've done is I've just thinned the paint right down, and applying very thin paint, very watery paint to there, so you can still see that natural wood texture, because I thought, hey, it's already wood, we may as well deal with it and save a step, because I wanted to make this nice and easy and quick. Like I said, they're just going to be scattered terrain on your miniature table. People will see it and go, that's a bed, and that's exactly what I want. Okay, then once we've got that complete, what we're going to do is come in with an off-white color, and we're going to be using this to be painting the pillow and the mattress. So nice and easy here, just applying any off-white color, or even some dirtier color if you want your beds to be a little bit more grungy looking in here. And also, again, thinning that paint way down so it can soak into the natural fibers of our baby wipes here, and so we can still keep that natural fibrous material. Okay, and then with that complete, what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be painting up the blankets on the bed to give them some personality. So I'm going with a basic blue, red, green and yellow color scheme here, but you can do whatever you want. You could add patterns on it to it even, but I'm just going with nice, simple and basic here, just giving them those overall simple colors where they're nice and distinct and identifiable. And as you can see, they're nice and easy things to create as well. And because we're also thinning down our paint like we have been as well, we get the natural textures and the fibrous nature of those baby wipes, and really looks like a material that a blanket would be made out of as well. So just adding that little bit of realism into the piece as well. Not going too crazy with the colors here. You could also add in a wash and some highlights in there. I don't think you really need it too much. I think adding a wash in that would muddy it up, then it'd be very hard to bring back the sort of simpleness of the color with highlights and that. It would start getting a little bit messy with the fibrous nature of the baby wipe, so just keep that in mind as well. But nice plain simple color is all I need here for this, so let's move on to some of those glamour shots and see what they came out like. And there you have it, guys, some nice quick and easy beds to make for any RPG game for your inns and taverns. So I hope this video has been helpful for you guys to make these nice, quick, easy, and I think pretty realistic beds for our scale that we're using here in our RPGs. and I hope that it's been helpful for you to give you some inspiration. And I was just making them up for my own use, and I thought, hey, maybe I'll share some of this technique with my viewers here, so hopefully this has been helpful for you as well. But with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.